Hello, this is the video for ancient history and ancient and medieval history on Monday, the 19th of October, 2020. People have just finished their Chapter 3 quiz, which you at home should take also. Also, remember to turn in your Chapter 3 work in the proper fashion, which you should know by now. Okay. What makes a man a human being? Well, I'll start with the lineage, and then I'll go to the qualities. Here we have the great southern ape from afar, Australopithecus afarensis, about yay tall, standing straight up. Big snout, big eyebrow ridges, pretty much no forebrain. The forehead slopes radically back from the eyebrow ridges. Why is that important? Because the part of the brain where we keep ourselves, our identity, our mind, that's above the eyes. If you don't have a forehead and a brain behind it, there's nowhere for that to buckle onto. So this is an ape, not a human being. Now, Australopithecus afarensis has a few of the qualities that go into making a human being. They have binocular vision, because our arboreal ancestors, according to the theory of evolution, were tree dwellers. That's what arboreal means. Arbor, tree, Arbor Day, tree day. But our arboreal ancestors needed to jump from branch to branch. And like today, the females decide who they're going to breed with. And if you're a goober that can't jump from branch to branch without tripping, you're not going to get any of the ladies, and you're not going to have any children. So it became necessary for us to use binocular vision in order to achieve that. Now, we had binocular vision. That was one of the reasons why were arboreal creatures. But it is still a quality that the great southern ape from afar had. The ability to spot an object in three-dimensional space with the accuracy to jump to it. You have in your heads a targeting computer that is naturally designed to spot the distance and bearing of anything that's in front of you in three-dimensional space. The other benefit that you get from having binocular vision is a psychological focus on what's right in front of you. Prey animals with eyes on the sides of their head, they have the benefit of strong peripheral vision. We have relatively weak peripheral vision. You can just, see around sort of the edges here. Beyond that, unless you have eyes in the back of your head, which is a magic trick, no, we're blind. And sight is the most important of the senses to us. Because sight is the most important sense, and because both of our eyes face forward, what we have in front of us becomes our whole world. That's why it's so natural to read a book and let everything melt away, or watch a movie, or play a video game. Because both of our eyes focus on that one point in front of us, and that becomes our world, the focus of our intention and the thing that we are working our will upon. Without that, don't know what we would have done. I'm going to ask you to put that fan back up on the bookcase and turn it on low. If it bothers you, feel free to move to a part of the room like over there that doesn't have a blowing fan on your back making you uncomfortable. I need it, but I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Thank you. The second quality that Australopithecus afarensis has is this. Did any of you, for the fun of it, try spending any time at all without the use of your thumb? How was it?
I woke up in the morning and I tried to do the whole day, and it was really weird to brush your teeth, move it around. And then I was trying to do, my dad made a really cool steak. He's like, son, you gotta eat this. I'm like, okay. And I started, doing this with the fork and knife. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's a project. I didn't know.
Yeah. You didn't have to do it. Thank you for doing it. Yes?
When I shattered my wrist, it was last day 6th grade when I lived in Hawaii, and I shattered my wrist because I fell rollerblading.
Yeah.
What happened was I shattered both my wrists, and I tore a ligament in my thumb.
Okay.
So I actually had no use of my thumb for about 2 months.
In one hand.
In one hand.
That must have been fun.
And this is my dominant hand, and I
Okay.
shattered it and lost use of my thumb for about 2 months.
Ouch.
And it wasn't a great experience.
No.
It was not easy.
No. If you ever do it for the fun of it, it'll show you how important these are. So
I did it for like 4 minutes and then gave up because I couldn't get my water and I was really thirsty.
yeah. No. Okay.
And the worst part is that mine was straw, and so I'm just disappointed.
Oh, that's even worse. It's not easy.
It's that bad.
Now, why do we have these thumbs? Again, our ancestors, according to evolutionary theory, are arboreal creatures. We need to be able to have a strong grip. What in the old days used to be called a kung fu grip. They had a G.I. Joe that did kung fu, knock it and would swing its opponents around. Kung fu grip. We have a kung fu grip. We can grip things really hard, really tight. We can precisely control matter with our hands. The upside of that is these are the tools that we use to reshape the world. And look at how we've reshaped it. It's amazing. You may think, oh, mankind is so horrible. All we do is make things extinct. No, there are good things too. But for good and for evil, our thumbs give us the ability to master nature in a way that no other animal really can. Whales and dolphins, even elephants, may be smarter than us. They may be great theoreticians and poets, but they can't make a grip to save their lives. And as such, their intelligence is purely theoretical, purely interactive. Ours becomes very practical. We are engineers because of these thumbs. Yes.
And how do you explain the elephant's trunk?
The trunk could be a step in that direction. And if you gave the elephant more evolutionary time to develop its ability, the trunk actually could become. There are others who believe that cephalopods may make a second thing back in some future time. You'll have squids that adapt to the Earth's surface and that move around on their tentacles and use them. And cephalopods are very intelligent, actually. As animals go, they are practically pre-sentient. They're proto-sentient. If we ever decided to play God with our genetic engineering skills and uplift animals to sentience, we'd want to do it with whales or dolphins, with cephalopods like squids or octopi, and maybe with chimps, because those have the most potential for sentient life.
What
Yes.
if we were to do it with something really stupid?
Like
I don't know, like,
a slug.
yeah.
Because the slug would hate you. It's like giving a toaster artificial intelligence. It's just cruel. I mean, what is it going to do? Want some toast? You want some nice scrummy toast? There are actually science fiction shows that make fun of having a talking toaster with AI. Because, man, it's just purposeless. Anyway, so we have the Australopithecus afarensis has binocular vision, has opposable thumbs. What's the downside of having opposable thumbs? Atom bombs! Maybe, if you want to argue that, but really, you just get your thumb stuck in things, and it hurts. Okay. And then little boys in fairy tales stick it in pies.
Like a card.
And pull out plums.
Yes, exactly. So, we now move on to handyman. Homo habilis, handyman. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And handyman is not called handyman for nothing. See, Australopithecus afarensis can use tools. Pick up a club, bam, bam, just like in the movie 2001. But Australopithecus afarensis can't make tools. He doesn't sit down and purposefully chip stone to make a stone knife or axe. He doesn't purposely sit down and make a spear point and harden it over the fire. I don't know about the fire part, but Homo habilis does. He makes tools. You can see he's got the beginning of a forebrain. He still has a snout, still looks ape-like, still brachiates, in other words, is a knuckle walker. But he is on his way to becoming a human being. And the critical point, the fulcrum moment, is when he starts making tools.
So Tarzan, essentially.
In effect, since Tarzan can make his own little house, trees.
His parents made the house, but he was raised by trees.
It depends on the version. It depends on the
That's
version.
like the
But Tarzan, yeah, can make tools. That's right. like a loincloth.
What even
You
happened?
can't make a shirt. No, just a loincloth.
Why? Why? What's that logic?
It's fun. It's okay. It's a comic. It's like the logic of Superman.
Yeah, Superman was.
You would not want to be Superman's girlfriend. You'd be dead.
I'm surprised Lois isn't dead at this
Well,
point.
no, she shouldn't. By all lights. Now, so Homo habilis has a growing brain, and he is a toolmaker. Homo erectus. Homo erectus gives us our third characteristic, the upright stance. And this happens because we are creatures of the Ice Age periods. We are made by climate change. Climate change created the human race as we know it, according to the theory of evolution. Because as the Ice Age appears, the one that's within 3 million years of us, or one of the ones that's within 3 million years of us, the climate of East Africa dries and cools. And the great forests that our ancestors grew up in wither and die. Now, Homo habilis had to deal with this. Some of the Australopithecines had to deal with this, but Homo erectus adapts to it. Homo erectus means upright man. And were you in 7th grade, you'd be guffawing all over the floor right now, like when I teach about Djibouti or Lake Titicaca or other things that in 7th grade geography we cover that people just think are funny. Because they are, I admit it. They're funny. They're funny names. In English, they sound ridiculous. In their native language, they probably sound somewhat less ridiculous. So, Homo erectus, Homo, genus Homo, that's man or human being. Erectus, upright man. Homo erectus is the first guy and gal and people to walk around 24/7, 365 in an upright way. And that allows us real advantages on the plains because our sense organs are higher off the ground. We do the opposite of an ostrich. What does an ostrich do when it panics? Do any of you know? Yes. Yeah, it shoves its head in the hole and says, I can hear no evil. I can see no
They
evil.
don't actually do that. That's just a stigma that's
Yeah, that's something. I don't believe that. No, I believe the stories. For hundreds of years, people have told this
It
story.
would kill them if they were to try to shove their head into the ground unless it was very, very
No,
soft.
I'm not talking in the ground. I'm saying in a hole. Okay, they need to have a hole. If there's no hole, they can't do it. It's not like they go and dig with their skull. No, that's not it, Melissa. What it is if there's a hole nearby, yoink, their head goes in the hole. Because I can't see a threat, I can't smell a threat, I can't hear a threat. Therefore, there is no threat. This is, by the way, the image of people engaged in self-delusional behavior. Because they do the same exact thing. What's really happening? You got an ostrich with his head in a hole and his butt in the air waiting to be bitten and eaten. It doesn't work. We do the opposite of that. We raise ourselves up off the ground. Our sense organs are higher, therefore we can spot threats and opportunities quicker, and that's the name of the game when you're walking around the plains. We can also carry stuff all the time, like spears and clubs and other stuff. And we can work while we walk, and we can walk while we work. We can fidget with things. We can tinker with things. We become tool users. So, the upright stance is the third thing with Mr. Homo erectus. Notice, much bigger forebrain than the others. Also, a distinct nose and mouth as opposed to a snout. Homo erectus is by far the most successful human species ever, if you measure success by duration, by durability. Homo erectus, look on your dates. What does it say for their appearance? So?
1,800,000 to 100,000.
Yeah. So they appear almost 2 million years ago. And they're around to, and I'll tell you, there are some less than 100,000 years ago. That's a long time. Our species of human has been around for maybe 50,000 years, if that. So Homo erectus, just by sheer doggedness. And how is it that they are so good at surviving? Well, not only do they walk around as tool users with their sensory organs farther off the ground. By the way, what's the downside of an upright stance?
Your stomach's exposed.
Ari?
Oh, you're like,
Yeah. What you're doing is you're walking around saying, world, eviscerate me. Cut my guts open. Let me see my intestines on the ground. I mean, really, most animals, they protect their vitals. We don't. We walk around just waiting for something to go slice, and then we're in serious, serious pain and horrible, horrible trouble. Um, Also, do any of you take martial arts, or have any of you? What's the whole point of martial arts?
Self-defense.
Self-defense, yes, through. What am I doing? I'm moving on the heels of basically on the balls of my feet, and it's about.
Um,
Go ahead. What?
no, I lost it.
Okay. Give you a hint. It rhymes with the word balance.
Oh,
Balance. Martial arts are all about balance because we walk around like ridiculous nimrods on our hind feet. All the other animals laugh at us. When birds are singing in the morning, they're laughing at the silly humans walking around on their clumsy hind legs. When squirrels and chipmunks chitter, they're laughing at us because we're so stupid looking. Boom, boom, boom. So easy to knock a person down. That's the point of most martial arts, to get somebody off balance, knock them down, and have your way with them. So we take the risk of being much easier to knock down. You try knocking down a four-legged creature. I learned this when I was training my puppy, German Shepherd, because I learned a sort of old-fashioned way, sit, and what I would do is pull up on the choke chain gently and sweep behind her hind legs, and she would naturally go into a sitting position. And then she learned how to do it. Lay down, bring the chain down, and she would go down following her neck. The problem is, you try knocking her down without a choke chain up, or any dog, it's not easy. Why? 4 legs. So we're easier to knock down, and we're walking around with their vitals exposed. What does Homo erectus do that allows him such a wide scope? Yes?
Fire.
Fire. Fire is the key. And fire is the first WMD, or weapon of mass destruction. With fire, we can do all sorts of things. What are some of the things, and if you're having trouble, look on the next page. What are some of the things that a person can do with fire? 1, 2.
Food.
Yeah, we can cook food. And thus kill a lot of the nasty stuff that live in rotten food, because most people, even if they eat fresh meat, are still taking a risk. So cooking the food makes it much easier to digest and healthier to eat. It also preserves it. Smoking meat and cooking meat lets it last just a little bit longer. Yes?
Helps in making tools.
Yeah, because with fire you can harden spear tips and you can do things like that. Yes?
It also helps to kill animals to eat.
Not just to eat. Well, we'll do that. Okay. Let's say for a moment that this is a cliff here. It's a piece of forest, and it's got a cliff here, and it sort of has a slope on the other 2 sides. So what Grod, Throck, and Gruel do is they start fires here, here, and here on a day where the wind is coming from Miss Pepin and towards me. And the idea is the fire will catch and spread in this general direction, driving the animals off the cliff, and it'll rain meat, which, if you're starving or constantly on the edge of starvation, is a good day. What can go wrong? Everything. Anything. The wind can turn and suddenly the entire forest blazes. Maybe you burn out your home. Maybe all 3 guys get killed. Maybe your tribe gets killed. Maybe everything is wiped out for an area of square miles. You never know. It's a weapon of mass destruction. Fire is the first of those. Atomic power is the most recent. Atomic power can power an entire city with a little tiny bit of uranium or plutonium. On the other hand, if you abuse it, it can cause massive radioactive fallout, or you can use it to make a weapon. Either an atom bomb that can destroy the center of a city, or a hydrogen bomb that can destroy the city, the suburbs, and much of the countryside. So you got to be careful with those WMDs. Fire gives us a human lifestyle. What else does fire do? Yes? Heat in the cold. And
Say that it likes like torches, flashlights.
light in the
Campfires.
darkness. Yeah. Look, dark is scary to sight-oriented creatures such as ourselves. How many monsters live in the dark? But with light, with fire, with torches, you don't have that worry. And heat allows Homo erectus. Look at Africa over there, beyond those two. We leave Africa as Homo erectus and spread throughout Eurasia and down towards Australia on a land bridge that goes through those islands. We do that because we can survive the winter. We can survive the winter because of fire, because it warms us at night in the cold, and it fights the way at night. What else? Somebody who hasn't said anything yet. What kind of dangers, Julia, do animals provide to people in those days? Yeah, whether it's a grizzly or a super grizzly or a saber-toothed tiger or whatever, if you've got a torch, you've got a chance. Because that animal is not going to want to get burned. And if you're able to maintain your fire, you can keep the animals at bay. Yes?
You said a super grizzly. What is a super grizzly?
It's a dire bear. Back in the Pleistocene, which is one of the times when Homo erecti were around, it was an Ice Age period. More recent, I think around 10,000. No, 15, 20,000 years ago, if I have it right. And the Pleistocene epoch saw gigantism. That's when mammoths were around. That's when mastodons were around. That's when woolly rhinoceri were around, and that's when saber-toothed tigers were around. So during the Pleistocene, they had something called a dire bear. Imagine a grizzly bear 3 times the mass of a normal grizzly bear today, and you have a dire bear. You don't want to mess with that thing. I mean, a grizzly is scary. The most dangerous land predator on Earth is either a tiger or a polar bear, depending upon how you measure it. So, big, scary bear. In any event, so Homo erectus has fire. Now, look at the other lifestyle things in your notes. Is there anything else that Homo erectus has? Start with the earliest. Is it fire? Or is there something before that? Tool making, I'll bet. So tool making is done by Homo habilis. Fire use is done by Homo erectus. Oh, and fire can also be used to heal you. If you cauterize a wound, you can keep it from getting infected. And oddly enough, the early people figured that out. Okay, so most successful human in terms of durability, but not us. Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, otherwise known as Neanderthal man. Homo sapiens neanderthalensis means the thinking man of the Neander Valley. The Neander Valley is a river valley in Germany. Thinking man, Homo sapiens. Neanderthals still have a bit of an eyebrow ridge. They also have features that we tend to think of as coarse. They have heavier bones, a heavier muscular structure. They're shorter than we are, and basically you would not want to tangle with one in hand-to-hand combat unless you were really good, because our bones are thin and willowy by comparison. Why is the Neanderthal built this way? For what problem is he designed to solve? Emma, what climate problem existed back then? The Ice Ages, that's right. And because of the Ice Ages, Neanderthals are basically humans designed to meet and live in the Ice Age and thrive in the Ice Age. So why? Because their barrel chests and their heavy muscles protect their delicate internal organs from being frozen to a dangerous point. Okay? Ice Age adapted person. Now their brains by cubic centimeter are actually larger than ours, but they're differently proportioned. There's more of a midbrain and less of a forebrain. We have a bigger forebrain. What that means is, yes, sir.
Oh, I was finished with the ask. So it says that, like on the Homo erectus lasted to 100,000 years ago, and the Neanderthal man started about 220,000 years ago. So did there like become a split of like some that evolved and some?
It's entirely possible. The first Homo sapiens appear 500,000 years ago. They weren't Neanderthals either. There were other types. What we call Cro-Magnon man. But Whenever you're, and I will call on you, whenever you're dealing with human evolution. Okay, I'll talk about the Neanderthals after I take the question, because I'm actually planning on answering your very question. If I don't, please ask
It
me
said
again.
in that it's about the ice.
It does, and we're going to talk about that. Yes.
Okay, so I just like the movie The Ice Age.
Yeah.
And the baby is in the baby's dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that Neanderthal?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not supposed to look like modern people. They were cavemen. It's just classic Neanderthal. So here's the deal. Neanderthal are extremely well adapted. They don't have a modern voice box. They don't have all the intelligence we have, but they're really well adapted. But when the Pleistocene ends, when the last ice age that we faced, full-scale ice age, ends, our people come out of Africa around 14, 15,000 years ago. And all modern humans can trace back to a common ancestor. I think we call her Lucy, about 15,000 years ago. So all modern people are from a relatively recent emigration from Africa. We're taller and thinner than the Neanderthals. We have a bigger forebrain, but less protection for it than the Neanderthals. And we can't handle the cold nearly as well. But what we do have, what we are developing, is the voice box. Now, Neanderthal had human culture. They had religious faith. How can I tell? What did they do that proves their religious faith?
Wasn't it like
Yeah. Neanderthals engaged in the ceremonial burial of the honored dead. That's an amazing thing. You don't need modern humans to have religion. We know we can die. But the idea of all of this coming to an end forever just is hard for the human mind to swallow. It doesn't make sense. Is death like going to sleep? Yeah, but when you sleep, you dream. What if we are meant for eternity? What if there is a happy hunting grounds? What if there is an afterlife? Well, the Neanderthals prepared their honored dead for that, giving them tools and food and clothes that the living could use at a time when nothing was cheap. Like that woman who insisted on being buried in her Cadillac back at a time when Cadillac was the be-all and end-all of American automakers. The best of the best of the best, sir. She got buried in a brand new one. Why? Because she had the money to boot. And, nobody said no to her. And it was California. So she was buried. Neanderthals were buried when living people were hungry. Food was given to the dead. When living people took hours and hours and hours to make the simplest tools, really good tools were given to the dead. Clothing, the same thing, given to the dead. Why would you do this? There's no reason unless you have some notion of an afterlife, some notion of a happy hunting grounds, some notion of life after death, which is a religious notion. Thoughts? Because to me, that's amazing. I didn't think about that until I started teaching this. And when I was lecturing, it just occurred to me, holy moly! That means religion's older than people, according to the theory of evolution. Modern people. And it's true. It is. Anyway, modern people like us, come out of Africa, and what happens when we meet the Neanderthals? Can you guess? Yes, Ari? Both. I'm sure that what happened is a little of both. Not that our people would voluntarily breed with Neanderthals, but some of them may have raped some of our women, and the children might have lived. We don't know the truth. I would say, given human nature, what is likeliest is there was some crossbreeding, and some Neanderthal DNA is in modern humans today. But also, there's no question we wiped them out. The Homo erecti and the Neanderthals may be the basis for goblin legends and orc myths and trolls and other stories from folklore and fairy tales. Because they're kind of like people, but not. Would we want another intelligent species on this earth? I point out, given that we make such a big deal about minor changes in pigment, in hair texture, and in nose shape, come on. Are we going to tolerate another species of human being competing with us? Heck no. So we either absorb them or we eliminate them. We exterminate them. Probably both. We don't know. It could have been all elimination, or it could have been all. I sincerely doubt that it was all assimilation, as in joining into one new kind of person. I think mostly it was wipe them out. And lest you feel too guilty about that, understand something. What would the world be like if we had another type of person around that had modern technology, that had atomic weapons, that saw us as alien, as we see them as alien? It wouldn't necessarily be a very easy or nice life, would it? So, yeah, it happened. It's not the last species we're going to exterminate by far. And it's not the last time that one type of person is wiped out or enslaved by another. Again, by far. That's one of the things we're really good at doing. So, modern people. And by the way, it's not like the Neanderthals were peaceful towards us. The likelihood is they hunted us as much as we would hunt them. We don't have eyebrow ridges. We've got little vestigial bumps. We've got very delicate temples. Now, a human temple is this part of the skull here and here, above and to the right and to the left of your eyes, in front of your ears. Don't ever hit somebody there. You could accidentally kill them. I'm not joking. It's a weak spot in the human anatomy. It's like the Adam's apple of the throat. You do not want to hit somebody full force there either, unless you're prepared for a manslaughter charge. It is very, 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 very dangerous. So we have all sorts of delicacies. But in addition to the larger forebrain, we name ourselves thinking man. Homo sapiens sapiens. So genus Homo, species sapiens, subspecies sapiens. We're thinking man. We don't just think once, we think twice. We think again. We're doing all that thinking man. Homo sapiens sapiens. And what makes us distinct physically is the voice box. Because with this voice box, we can sculpt sound. We can make about 50, give or take, phonemes, and we can make language. The Neanderthals probably had something like a gesture language, like sign language, with a few grunts and growls to augment it. They could not sculpt sound the way we do. With our facility for sculpting sound with our voice box, we have an increased choking risk, yeah, sure. But we also have the ability for spoken language. And that is the key, really, to modern life. It's the first big information revolution. With spoken language, the history of humanity is no longer the history of changes slowly happening to our bodies. The history of humanity is the history of our cultures and our civilizations, our technologies and our nations. In the last 10,000, 12,000 years, we go from the first farms to space and landing on the moon and returning safely to the Earth. We develop machines that are smarter than some people. We do all sorts of things, good and bad, because of language. Language is the key. Language makes it all possible. So language is this great revolution. By the way, there's something that modern people do that's also really, really interesting, and it talks about the fact that we're not just thinking creatures. We're also creatures that have a mystical and a spiritual side. Tell me about Lascaux. Many of you know about Lascaux. 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 Maybe I'm mispronouncing the from case of it. Lascaux. Okay, none of you. It's a cave painting.
Oh, wait. I know. I thought you were
Okay.
but we never got it.
Yeah, they're actually pre-Mesopotamian, but they are early cave paintings. Now here's the thing. To make the pigment and to draw on the walls, Julia, do you have anything to add to that? Okay. That takes time. Do you have something?
No, I'm just not sorry.
I'll try not to be provoked into calling that. I'll try not to, no promises. Why would they take time out of their very busy lives just surviving to make art on the walls of a dark cave? Because they had fire in the cave, and for magic. You all gather round as I, your shaman, tell the future. brave men of tribe will go out with spears, chasing wild beasts. Wild beasts will gather near stream crossing. They will cross. Those are horrible. Those must be wildebeests. What we will do is we will rain spears down on them. And while some wild beasts will get away by crossing stream and climbing out on other side, at least one creature will die. Hunters will succeed. See it! Study it! Believe that it will be. And it will be. See. The idea of magic, psychologically very powerful. If you paint the walls with a successful hunt, it probably will encourage you to subconsciously have a successful hunt. Just like a poor devil who thinks he's going to die in a battle tomorrow will probably find some way to get injured or killed because of bad luck. So, cave art indicates a desire for aesthetics and a capacity for them as well. That's where we'll continue tomorrow. Have a nice day. Who leaves for lunch today? Okay. Hey, have a nice day.